right, so that was fun. I really enjoyed your interview on Feb. I've never done that before. Have you done that
Yeah,
before?
yeah, I've done a couple other interviews like that with other writers. I did 2 other romance writers for my blog, so you're the first spec writer I've interviewed. So I'm excited to be expanding the genres of people I'm interviewing.
Romance. Are you fans of their work? The ones that you did?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I read very widely. I really love the romance genre, and I also really love the horror genre and science fiction and fantasy. So I'm kind of all over the place.
What do you write again? Tell me.
So, the last time we talked a few years ago, I was pretty much exclusively focused on horror.
Or
So and my most popular work is Combustion, which is now
Combustion?
self-published, and yeah, so that one's got the most readers. That's what I'm most well known for. 70,000 reads on Wattpad now. But then I branched out into time travel romance, and
Ah,
also I have one contemporary, which has gotten me into a lot of trouble.
I read a little bit about it.
Yeah. So I'm a little all over the place. I like to think all of my books have a little bit of a subversive dark theme, but I do kind of hop around from genre to
So, I mean, what's the big deal about are you allowed to talk about it? Actually, my next question should be is how do I pronounce your name? I look at it, I don't know if I'm just dyslexic or what. It's just like letters. Okay,
No,
now try,
nobody.
no, seriously, it's like this. Try again. Letters. Wait, one more time. Letters.
So first of all, I have to say, when my husband set up this Zoom account, he spelled it wrong.
Oh, did he?
um, yeah, there's only supposed to be one U in it, so it's Jyvur Entropy. So Jyvur is I made it up out of Afrikaans words because I really love South African culture. So
Okay.
the word beer, I can't actually say the word. It's like beer, and I can't really say it. So I changed it. It's fire in Afrikaans, but I took one U out of it. It should actually be VUUR, but I made it VUR so I could say it in my American accent. And then Jai is you, so my name is basically You Fire Chaos.
Okay, so it is hard to say. I'm not just having a hard time mentally. Because I was looking
No,
at something I need here. It's missing. It's not that it would be an extra U because that wouldn't help me. It's that there's a whole language happening that I just don't know. That's neat.
yeah, I shouldn't
Entropy.
have gotten so like crazy with making my name up. But I don't know. I guess I liked it. I liked the way it looks, and I mean, people remember it. They just can't actually say it.
I mean,
But
it's
yeah.
interesting, this whole thing, right? It's all fluid, it all flows, it all changes and morphs into something else. I mean, you go from one thing to another because it just feels more comfortable, right?
Mm,
You go back, there's a way back machine for the internet. You know what I mean? It
mm,
goes all the way back to the beginning. Everything that you've ever done is there.
yeah.
Somehow, some smart person will be like, oh, look what you did. And you'll be like, oops, I'm human, or worse.
Yep, exactly. And people love to do that to like
Yeah.
go back and go, look what this
Right,
person
right
did 100 years
now,
ago.
right? This woman
Yep.
in Central Park, my God, that's crazy. That's the one thing that I really appreciated about your interview is that while
Mm,
I was writing out my questions, there was no way we would have gotten as far as we did if we were on my podcast. Actually, I was thinking that we'd have these because I go on so many tangents. I'm a complete freak. Last time I had you on my show, I was so sick though. You're my third
mm.
guest. I'm so,
Yeah, like way back in the
yeah,
beginning, I remember, like when you first started it.
yep. That was so much fun, except I did not have fun on our podcast because I did not feel good. And I felt so bad for you. And you said, no, we'll be fine. And I said, oh.
No, I
I,
thought you did a really great job, especially like
oh, yeah.
since because I know now you've been doing the podcast for a long time, and like how many years now? Like 3, something like that, 3 or 4.
I don't know if it's that long. My God, if it is, that's crazy. I
I
have
think it was
100.
back in 2016 when I talked to you because I remember I was working at a woodworking. No, I wasn't. I had just started ghostwriting. Oh yeah, I think it
Yeah,
was like
ghostwriting,
maybe it was 2017 actually. It might have been
2017.
like back then. But
I
yeah, I mean, I
have
thought you did a good job.
I have over 200 episodes of podcasts. I mean, that just happened. One day I went, well, that's a lot. It's a lot of
Wow.
talking to people about stuff. So
Yeah,
I've gotten
you're
good at
very
that.
prolific in like everything you do. You have all these short stories, all these podcast episodes. I think that's really cool. You're able to be so prolific.
I'm trying to look at my website differently. It's got to be organized better. I don't even think that
Hmm.
matters. I don't know, like you published, you put your work out there. Did you
Hmm.
see a big rebounding effect off of it?
No, I really struggle with marketing, and like
Then,
in
right?
some ways I've like built a community, and like in some ways I'm semi recognizable in different corners of the internet, but as far as actual sales go, not really so much. So I'm trying a few different things. Like, so I just self-published back in the end of March, and I decided to run a Goodreads giveaway, and that seems to have like given me a little bit of a boost. And hopefully, the giveaway is actually ending tomorrow, so hopefully once the giveaway ends, maybe people that like didn't win will still buy the book, is kind of what I'm hoping. And I had 1,200 people enter, so that's 1,200 people had to like,
Wow,
yeah,
1,200.
that's what I really wanted to do it for. Like, it was a little bit of money. It's over $100 to run a
That was
Goodreads giveaway.
Wattpad. You said
What's that?
Wattpad?
No, Goodreads. I did
Goodreads.
that
Oh,
on
wow.
Goodreads. Yeah, I'm still pretty big on
I
Wattpad, but yeah,
have
Goodreads.
a story rating on Goodreads for a folding time. They gave me 3 stars. Bastard, asshole.
Oh
Only
my
one.
gosh.
Only
Is that
one.
your only rating for that
My
story? The
only
3 star?
only rating is a 3 stars and no words, no like I hated this story because it was just dumb. Nothing.
Nothing at all. Just left
Just
the
three
rating.
stars. Mediocre rating. Mediocre. Oh, horrible.
I'll read it and give you some good. I'll read some of your stuff because I loved your work when you had like, you don't have a lot of stuff. It doesn't seem like you put new stuff on Wattpad, but the stuff you did have on there was really good. I'll read some of your stories and leave you a rating on
And
Goodreads.
you're still using. I checked it out just
Hmm.
recently. It's still there. And like, wow,
Hmm.
is this usable in any way whatsoever? I got nothing off of it. I posted a lot of stuff, right?
Hmm.
I mean, I played with it a bunch. I never got anything. And then I was looking at the people who were getting stuff. I'm like, why are you getting stuff? You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah. It's so weird how different platforms work differently for different writers. Like, for me, I couldn't make Instagram work. Everybody's so into, you got to use Instagram, and that's how you got to market your books, and I couldn't. And Facebook, I couldn't get into Facebook. I don't do anything with that. But then with Wattpad, that's really where like I found my home. And I think only, honestly, I think only certain types of stories do well on Wattpad. Horror and romance seem to be like the big genres that do well. But like with horror, it really has to be like a very particular kind of shock value horror. Because even my book Combustion, which it's done pretty well, it's 70,000 reads. It's never going to be up there with the
70,000.
really good. Yeah, which I'm pretty proud of that. But it's still not like huge for Wattpad. It's not ever going to be like as big as someone like Zombies, who's writing
And
like.
then do you question the actual reads, right? Do you say, are these really 70,000 people or is it, because I mean,
Well, I know it's not
even though it's
actually
like,
70,000 people because it's, it counts every chapter, and it does also count rereads. So I guess when I look at that 70,000, I have to like cut that in half in my head and be like, that's probably more like 30,000.
I'm 100% certain I don't have anything on Wattpad that's even close. I don't even know if I broke 3 figures on anything. I had one story that got into TNT's horror, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, that contest they ran a few years
The
ago. Yeah.
contest they ran a few years ago. And I don't even think that broke 300. I have no clue. I have no clue. I
Yeah.
have no clue how marketing works or
Me
how to
neither.
write a story that people want to read. So,
It's really frustrating, like as a writer,
yeah,
to like, I feel
yeah.
this frustration all the time of like, I want to make it big. I want people to read my work and people to know who I am. But at the same time, you look at the kind of stuff that gets popular, and it is kind of hard sometimes not to get a little bitter when like basically everything making it big is like Beauty and the Beast retellings, fantasies that are like YA. It's like, and you look at that and you're like, they don't want anything different. It's just kind of hard not to feel like, oh, I could just write a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and then I would blow up, but then
But
it
you
wouldn't
have to
matter.
do it in a way that's going to tickle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you
I
have to
don't
do it in
know.
a way that you enjoy it.
No, honestly, you have to have the vast empire, what the hell it is that Pixar has. And then you can tell Tangled. I mean, Tangled isn't a great story. Somebody broke down Pixar's storylines, and they're not very vast. They do the same thing over and over and over again, whatever it is. They're fun to look at sometimes. Up was amazing. Coco was good, but the themes that run through these things, the kind of characters they use, they're very cookie cutter. You know what I mean? They're not trying to do anything great. Over the top. They're just, hey guys, here's some entertainment, and they're giving it to everybody as cheaply as possible. I mean, that's what's happening. So I mean, if you want to find 70,000 people, what do you do? How did you get that? How did you get those? How did you get the 70,000? You just put it out there and they found you, right? Which is my thinking on the whole thing is you're not going to do anything to find anybody.
Yeah,
They're going to come
I
to
mean, it
you.
really was like that. The reason that I kind of blew up was one day the Wattpad algorithm decided they loved me and they started featuring me, and
Yeah.
then they put me in this like ad thing to when you sign up for Wattpad, it shows you like a bunch of stories. They put me in that for a
Yeah.
while, so then everybody joining Wattpad was clicking on my book, and then they featured me on their editor's pick profile, and they did I was longlisted for the 2018 Watty. So really it was just Wattpad deciding that my book was marketable and promoting it for me. I didn't know what to do to reach readers. So I was at like before Wattpad's algorithm started promoting my work like crazy. I think I was at 5,000 reads, and that was after like 2 years on Wattpad. So
How did I find you? Do you remember? You have a good memory. Do you remember why I found you? Do you remember how you
I
came
think I
about?
might have found you because I would always
No.
go through. Yeah, I think
No, you're
I would
my
always go
third.
through.
You're my third guest. So I mean, I was just reaching out to people anywhere to get. I
Hmm.
think it was off Wattpad. Must
Yeah,
have been.
you did reach out to me on Wattpad. I think it might have been because I left a bunch of comments all over your stories.
Oh, really? Okay.
I think so because I really loved your work on Wattpad, especially Overdone. Like that one really stuck with me. That was one of those stories that I was like,
I
oh,
like
this
that story.
ending. Yeah, I like that one a lot.
I reworked that one recently. I mean, I don't know do with any of this stuff. I have want to
Mm,
sell it on Amazon, right? I think
mm,
that's the thing to do. I can make a cover. I can put words on paper.
mm.
I just the experience is 70,000. Then you try to capitalize on it somehow. Where are the people at who want to read fiction? And they're not. They're at Wattpad, I guess. They.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, the people on they really do seem to go for only a couple of genres, like hugely, and it's romance and it's very like a gory, shock value-y horror. And other than that, it's like
There's one other thing though. There's the character of the author that I think they're gravitated towards as well. I
mm,
reached out to one woman. uh, She has the avatar, she looks like the Midwestern princess or whatever. She's got
mm.
millions and millions of followers. I actually got to interact with her a little bit, got her so close to being on the podcast, and she balked at the last minute. It's like, oh, whatever excuse. It's a minute before, and I've lost my brain. I have no clue where it is, and I can't do it. But the point
Jeez.
being is, I think it wasn't really about the writing, and it was more about her.
Mm,
What she did. I mean, the successful ones are doing something. You know
I
what I
think
mean?
that's true. Yeah,
There's to
I
it.
think that's kind of true in almost any art form. Like any musicians, whatever. I think people kind of go for the person's personality and how they interact with their fans as well.
I mean, the world's a better place, right? Unfortunately, personality matters even in our game. Maybe that's
Mm.
why it's not working out. I hate to even say it, right? Or is it because just not enough people have found you? I think I just put too much stuff out there, and the algorithm wants to bury me because I say too much.
Maybe I would think being prolific would only like help you out more.
You think so?
That would be my
I,
like
I have
inkling.
no
Honestly,
earthly
it
idea.
is all very like frustrating, like trying to get discovered as a writer and trying to like because it is so rewarding when people do finally find your work and they totally get what you're trying to say and you
It
just have this
opens
like
up more
vindicating moment.
opportunities. Like
Mm.
talking to you today, and this is so great. I mean, the
Mm.
Facebook interview that we did together was unique, and I got to express myself and hopefully edit those words a little bit before you publish them.
Yeah,
But
I'll send it to you before I put it up on my blog. I always do that. That way,
uh,
if you like look back over it and you're like, "Ooh, I need to reword that," then we can do that.
I like that. I mean, I think I don't know everything. I think every story is a new opportunity, and I'd like the short stuff to matter too, somehow,
Mm.
right? I'd like that stuff to kind of form something. Kind of
Yeah,
looking at it. I mean, that's the greatest part about it is as long as you're living, you get to look at it all as just kind of a project. It sits in the
that's what I
ground,
love being, a
right?
writer, being a creative person. Is like you go about your daily life and in your head, like no matter what you're doing, grocery shopping, working, whatever, you can be like thinking and planning about these different stories. Like I just can't even conceive of like being a person just going through the world and like I'm like, what if people who aren't creative, what do they think about? Because all I'm ever
Yeah.
thinking about is like my next story, or like, I'll be in yoga class and it'll click. I'll be like, oh, I know how to fix this problem in the story. And so like that's what I say to like people who like I can't, I'm always trying to talk my husband into writing a book with me. Like he has so many cool ideas. I'm like, can you write one with me? He's like, no, I'm not interested. And I'm just looking at him and I go, what do you think about when you're going around in the world if you're not
It's about
creating?
cool
I don't get
ideas,
it.
like snowflakes. He has ideas like snowflakes. They come and they melt away. Then
Yeah,
he has more. We're dumb. We'd like latch onto them and save them and try to keep them forever and ever and ever. And it's never
yeah,
really, it's never the snowflake that it was when it was falling out of the sky. It's morphed now. It's become
it's
this
true.
monster thing. It's got like a refrigeration unit around it. Get a vacuum seal so it floats in the middle and it's never perturbed. It's got a layer of dust on it. It's basically a comet in
Yeah,
this thing. You know what I
that's
mean?
true.
That's what a
But
novel is
yeah,
at the
no,
end of the
this
day.
when you put a story down on paper, it's never exactly what you thought it was going to be in your head. It might be better, it
Ever.
might be worse. It's always not exactly what you thought it would be.
What is incels about?
So, my book
Incel.
Incel has gotten me into a lot of trouble. First of all, do you know what incels are?
I do because unfortunately they're very violent people. They think that they
Ooh, I have
are
a totally
owed.
different take on that, actually.
Well,
Can I
my
rebut
thing.
that?
Well, there's the incel terrorists, right? They're the ones that think that women are they're owed womenly favors and they're out there shooting and killing people, like the New Zealand
Ooh,
guy.
I have so much to say about this.
Do please go. I don't know
Okay,
anything.
so I
I
started out
just don't
my
want to be. I don't want to be labeled an incel. That at the end of the day, that's my only goal in life.
Okay, sorry. So we'll have to put this disclaimer out there. This is not Bryan Aiello's weirdness. This is Jyvur Entropy's weirdness here. Okay, so basically I started out my research for this book thinking kind of the same thing. Like they all feel entitled to sex, they all hate women,
Yeah.
and they're probably incubating mass shooters in their communities right now. And as it turns out, the way the media kind of spins them, because I have spent over a year not only lurking in their communities, but making connections in their communities. And I'm way too proud of this, officially in the Incel wiki. And the Incel said I was lighthearted and pleasant. And I'm very proud of that. They put my book in the wiki, a bunch of them talked to me. The media spins them in this way that just isn't realistic. It just isn't correct. So the, quote unquote incel terrorists, you got Alec Manassian, Elliot Rogers, and a couple others of them. They were not prominent actors in the incel communities. I think Elliot Rogers was on like one incel board and like never posted. So as I'm gonna just like paraphrase the way like I saw an incel explain this. If you are psychopathic and depressed, you're probably an incel. But that doesn't mean because you're an incel, you're psychopathic and depressed. So these young men that committed these terrible acts were lonely and they directed their anger at women. But the vast majority of incels do not do that. They don't feel entitled. They feel sad. They hate themselves more than anything else. And there's so many incel communities that don't even like have this anger. It's just all sadness. But the media only comments on these like very angry, toxic places when those are really the minority of incel communities. So that's my take. They're blown way out of proportion. And I don't think those terrorists were reflective of their community as a whole.
Well, I mean, yeah, right. I mean, we're not going to be talking about the whole iceberg when we deal with the small percentage, because I mean, when we look at the percentages, it's just so tiny. It's never going to happen. I mean, it's less than a lightning strike. It's less than a shark attack. It's so tiny, insignificant. It's never going to occur. In a million years, are you going to be in a shooting with an incel terrorist or something around?
Well, also, like, I just feel like there's been 5 acts of violence by incels, and
tell me what they are, because some of those aren't necessarily even that. Like there's other stuff. Which one? Tell me. Do you know the 5 offhand, or is that putting you on the spot?
I know 2 offhand: Elliot Rogers and Alec Manassian.
Which
Then
ones
there
are
was
they?
one who.
One of them.
What's that?
Which ones are they? I don't think I remember either one of those guys.
Elliot Rogers was the guy who shot up a sorority in California. He frequented one of the pretty terrible incel boards, which is called sluthate.com. So that's one of the toxic, nasty ones. And then you have Alec Manassian, where he was more in the Forever Alone community. So Forever Alone, they're like a little different than incels, which is why it's so surprising he was Forever Alone is so tame compared to incels. They don't have like the whole black pill philosophy that the incels have. They usually aren't as angry. They're more just like, we're a bunch of lonely, sad men. So it's kind of surprising that he went and committed this act being more on the Forever Alone side of things and the incel side of things. And he drove a car into a bunch of people.
Yeah.
There was one guy who shot up a hot yoga studio. I can't remember his name. And then I know there was
Yeah, that's the main guy. That's who they attribute. That's whose dogma they use, right? That main yoga guy. Whatever his
They
name.
don't well see they don't really. So in the incel wiki, all of these mass shooters and people that have done, they're listed in the quote unquote bad people category. They don't believe in committing acts of violence. So
these are people that aren't able to get it up to talk to the people of the opposite sex, basically. I mean, they don't feel.
Well, the thing is, a lot of them do try. They really, I don't know. I feel like I'm like defending them so much. I really do feel bad for them though, because there is this like perception that they're angry and they don't try and they never shower. And I mean, I read so many stories of of them talking about how they do try, and they don't go for the hot 10 blonde. They're going for women that are their quote unquote looks match. They're trying everything to self-improve, and they're still having trouble. And a lot of it's because rates of autism in that community are incredibly high.
Rates of what?
Autism.
Autism. Okay.
Yeah. Rates of autism. There's also a really interesting phenomena of trans people in the incel community, which I don't think people focus on that aspect very much. There's a lot of male to female trans people.
Male to female.
Yeah, that end up becoming incels because there's not a big like dating pool for them.
It's a hard subject for me to get into. I don't know anything. Nothing at all.
Anyway, so Wattpad banned this book from their platform, and I was so mad about it. So Wattpad sent me a message and told me my content was too offensive. And then
I mean, this is what gets me. Just fuck your offense. What the hell, man? Just let the stupid story exist.
Yeah.
What's it about? Did you rip a baby apart in some kind of orgy event? Even then, let the story exist. I mean, I don't understand. I don't understand why people. I do understand. We are living in a very, very strict time. We are very. I mean, you're talking about terrorism. You are, in a way. You're saying, look at it in a more broad way. These are a bunch of people who are very sad.
Yeah.
Don't want to be this way. Who want to be some other way.
Exactly. Yeah.
The way that the media is portraying this thing is different than that. They're putting a gun in its hand and saying these are very angry, very mad people, and they are your sons and they are your brothers, and they are in their rooms right now sharpening their bullets, getting their whatevers together to make a lot of people dead, as many as they possibly can. You know what I mean? In fact, when you were listing your people, I thought you were going to mention the Las Vegas guy. I think he's listed on that list.
Is he?
I think so. He was married to and this is why I say it, because he was married to a Filipina lady who was gone then, right? She was in the Philippines. And it's interesting. You generalize, what can you do? But you can say possibly this rich man with millions of dollars didn't go the hard way and wait months and months between relationships to finally find somebody to say yes to him, take her on a bunch of dates, and then marry her. He probably spent a couple $1,000s and said, hey, yo, Filipina, come over and hang out with me in California for a while and be my wife. How much was he actually getting laid? How much is she hanging out with other Filipino people? You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you could attribute his active mass violence to the fact that he just was not a happy guy.
That's exactly it. Is like the ones that have gone and committed violence. So their entire community is just not happy, not mentally well people. So it's like, it's more about them just being not happy, not mentally well people than about them being incels, which like that, I didn't get that part of it at first. But once I started actually like talking to them, which was very scary at first, but I talked to a few of them and they all just seemed like very normal, decent men to me. Like I just didn't get that kind of, honestly, the femcells were a lot nastier to me than the incels were, which.
Who?
The female incels, if you can believe that's a thing.
I don't even know what that is.
there are women who claim that they cannot get laid and they are angry on Reddit, just like they're like
Well,
the
yes, there maybe are women who can't get laid, but that's probably what I don't know. Like I don't know.
I tried to like take them seriously and like get to know them as well, but they were, if you can believe it, the femcells were so nasty and horrible to me, and the incels, except for a couple edgelords,
You
they were
can't.
pretty much fine.
I might cut this out depending on the reaction, but probably that's why the fem cells aren't getting laid, right? I mean, you're getting an idea of it right there. It's like, hey, I'm a very feminist creature that's basically going to attack you at every possible chance. Okay.
They were so mean to me. They called me a pick me. My feelings were so hurt. I went and wrote like a whole blog post about it. Like
What's
they're
that?
not nice people. And I mean, like, it's not like some of the insults weren't mean to me either. It's more the fact that like I've never had one positive conversation with a femcel, and I've had many with the incels. And then also I just found so many like positive incel communities. Like there was one that I joined. It was one you had to join, and I didn't really talk that much. I talked a little bit in that community. I mostly lurked, and that was a gender inclusive, not black pilled forum. And everybody there was just like super chill. It was just dudes being like, "What do you think we should do to try and get girls?" Or and there's so many that are just like that I'm like, it's hard not to feel bad for them once you realize it's
You
not
know,
all incels.co. They're not
the
all like
best way to get a girl is to have a bunch of friends and just go out and have a good time. Just have a
that.
good time. And then you attract other people trying to have a good time. And next thing you know, you met a girl. You go
Yeah,
home with a number. You know what I mean? You progress that way. But if you have friends already, that's half the fucking battle.
it is. Yeah.
There's nothing worse than a lone guy. Like as a guy standing around, you might as well be naked masturbating on the corner. You know what I mean? As just a guy out there by yourself with a bunch of dudes. I mean, there's like a
That's just such a funny way to put it. If you're alone, you just just be a
you're a
total freak.
predator. You're scowling at everybody. All right, where's my conquest? But if you're a bunch of guys, you look distracted. Everybody's going or competing, which everybody knows. Whatever.
I think a lot of it goes back to that. I mean, I just wish that like other liberal people that have this like very knee-jerk reaction to the incels would take a second to think about the autism component of their community. And they're not all autistic, but like a lot of them are autistic. They just that having friends and being social part is so hard for them. And a lot of them are what they call neets. So a neet is like not in education, or hold on, no education, employment, or training.
Well, I probably count myself in that exact group, except for the fact that I got a degree, right? I'm a fucking writer. What the hell? Nobody needs me. I can do nothing. I could do customer service. I could wait tables. I might be able to slide into something else, but I mean, nobody wants me. So I fall into that category. I'd consider myself part of that group.
Yeah. So they feel bad about themselves because they like don't really leave there. Not all of them. I definitely want to put that out there. Not all of them. Like I've met some that like are teachers, are nurses. They have like, they work in IT.
Even as a complete whatever that term is, though, I made babies and they created. They're in the world right now, so I don't know what that makes me. I mean, I procreated, so yay for me. I'm also 43 years old, and I'm at the point where I'm starting to realize that if I want to live a long life, I'm gonna have to probably be celibate, because women just suck the life out of you.
Do they? How do they do that?
It's how every man dies young, because of a woman. It's in every obituary. It says it right there in the newspaper. Every day it says, Harry died at 55 years old because he was married. That's what I read. I don't know what anybody else reads.
They should hire you to write obituaries. That's what the newspaper needs.
I tried to apply. They don't want to hire me. I don't know what's going on. Josh, every obituary is not the same. What do you mean? It's all the wife. It's the wife.
I feel like women would say the same thing.
My wife has actually told me that. She said, if it wasn't for you, I'd probably live until I'm 90. Now I'm probably going to die in my 80s or 70s. Is it worth it? And it's not worth it, man. Just divorce me. Set me free. We'll both live forever.
You guys sound funny together.
Unfortunately, in apartment buildings in New York, it doesn't sound fun.
Oh, wow. Apartments in New York are small. You must be like on top of each other, especially in quarantine.
Yeah, we moved into a place. It's like a railroad like type that runs across the entire floor. And we thought we were going to use this roof as this terrace, this beautiful garden. Done
Mm.
nothing up there because of the quarantine. And our children, my son wants to jump off the railing so bad. So it's now a nightmare place, and I don't ever want to go up there.
Oh my gosh.
New
How old are
York,
your kids?
5.
Are they little?
They're tiny, 5. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So you can't bring them up because you've got this like tiny human trying to jump off the railing.
I don't know. He's a smart kid. I think he does. I mean, I don't know when the Oedipus complex is supposed to stop, but I think he's in full swing of it. So whenever I'm around, he does whatever I would hate.
Mm.
Jumping off the roof is the one thing I would hate. He does a bunch of other stuff too. He's a crazy little 5-year-old. Crazy little 5-year-old.
Oh, that's adorable.
Zoom education is how they're getting it done right now, and basically, I don't know how anybody can do that either.
Mm. Well, that must be tough being cooped up with a bunch of little kids, with 2 little kids.
Me and my wife had to separate, so I'm not cooped up with little kids. It would have been hard, and we have at least a place for them to go to sometimes. But man, this whole quarantine thing has been horrible for New York. I don't know. Things are going to get worse. People are mean out there right now, and masks and stuff. No, we trust each other. Social distancing is like people are moving out of each other's way. It's insane. I mean, I don't know where you're from, but I imagine people are being kind of distant there too. It's probably not going to help the incel community. You know, after this is over with, it's probably just going to be worse. It's going to be harder. Yeah. I mean, some people think that's going to be like 1969 all over again. And then other people are like, no, nobody's ever going to touch another person again.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about the whole quarantine thing. It seems so weird to me that everybody was like so quick to, I don't know, like the whole world shut down. But I mean, like, I feel like we haven't been hit super hard where I am, so it's maybe I just don't see the full extent of it, but I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it was all taken a little bit too far with all the everything shut down, everybody stay at home.
The anger is bad, right? Feeling bad about yourself eventually turns into anger, doesn't it? I mean, every single time, doesn't it? I mean, when you eventually just say, it's my fault, I should be doing something more. Don't they? I mean, you can't blame another person for your own personal shortcomings. If you're not achieving your own goals, what's happening to stand in your way, right? So they have to be mad at themselves. What happens with that anger over time? You know, now is the time. I mean, incels knew, right? I mean, what would you put as an age limit on the whole thing?
On what? The quarantine?
No, the incels. I'm saying that the incel thing is going to get worse after this.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, so this is so weird, but like the more I read about their stuff and the more I like look around the world, the more I'm like, oh my gosh, they're right about so many things. They like, so their whole black pill philosophy, I definitely don't agree with all of it, but I think they get some things like very right. And I do think, so one of their things is they think that they say online dating has blown women's hypergamy out of control. And so hypergamy is women dating up, which I find, I mean, you know, sometimes you'll get feminist arguments.
Hypergamy. What is it? Hypergamy?
Hypergamy. So it's women tending to marry a man who looks a little better than them. So maybe he's a little taller. Maybe he's got a little bit more of a symmetrical face. So they say women date up in terms of looks, in terms of money, education, sometimes genetics, social status. What's genetics.
That? It's genetics. I mean, they're looking at how they can raise their kids the best way. You know,
I think that is it. I think it's a lot of it is biological, that women do look for a man that can provide, which doesn't make a lot of sense to do in the modern world where women can go out and make the same kind of money. But I do think it's partly.
My wife said she married me because she thought that we would make cute kids. I was like, that's so it. Cute. No, I said, is that it? And she said, that's the only reason. I was like, damn it. This doesn't make me happy. There's got to be other reasons. Like, nope, that's the only one.
So I think a
Well,
lot of like what the incels talk about is like the hype. So they say that back in the day people would live in their community, and so they also like lament the loss of community a lot. A lot of them are very tradcon. Not all of them are.
define back in the day though. What are we talking about? That's what I was
Well, a lot
asking.
of
That
them
was my
really
question.
idealize like the 40s and the 50s. I actually watched a really interesting YouTube video the other day by an incel who's not black pill, because they don't all believe in the black pill. They're kind of a diverse group. But his argument was the only reason women got married and lived this very traditional life and this boom in the 40s and the 50s was like to make up for World War II. So we're not ever going to have that again. But I'd say a good portion of them are very like tradcon and really idealize the 40s and 50s. And a lot of them believe, like, hey, I might be ugly, but if I lived in 1945, I'd have been able to get an ugly wife and have ugly kids and live a happy, ugly
Not
life. And now I can't do
true.
that.
Prostitution was a thing for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are men who cannot get women to say hello to them, and they go to prostitutes. That's why they are there, I think, more than anything else. I mean, there's a need,
Yeah.
right? I mean, typically married men don't. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a desire not to foul the married bed because you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Those type of men aren't having relations that way. You know what I
I think
mean?
you're right. Yeah. I do think that like it's always kind of probably been a problem. And I think it feels weird to like say this as a woman, but I think they're right that men like women more than women like men. So there's always going to be men that are left out.
Absolutely. Like I just said, my wife hates me. Like on a good day, she doesn't hate me. Just kind of not hate me. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that now. Before I was a little bit disappointed. Now I'm okay. Whatever. If you're gonna, hate me, it's all right. Guess I can live with it. Just don't fight anymore.
Yeah, I think marriage is like a little bit tough for everybody once you've been in it for a while. Like I've been married 10 years and we have our moments too. It's definitely not always a rom-com.
And it's interesting. I mean, I don't know if you have any kids, but having
No,
children,
I don't have any yet. Maybe one day, none right now.
it's hard to think about my son having to go through these type of experiences too. I know you've written other stuff. We're going to cover other works that you know what I thought is that maybe I would read through the interview that you had done with me, but obviously, like I said earlier, I started saying that I was going to do it, and my first tangent led us here. So I guess it's not going to happen.
That's all right. I've enjoyed the tangent. It's been fun.
I mean, incels, what the hell was I about to ask you? Oh, my son, I would hate to think that he's going to struggle, right? I mean, I want him to have a nice, enjoyable teenagehood, whatever the hell you call it.
Yeah.
Just not as
I mean, I
enjoyable as
think
I
part of
did.
it, I think a big part of it is just like, I mean, he has his father in his life, and that's another trend I've noticed among incels is that a lot of them don't have a like good male role model. A lot of them don't have their fathers around. And again, I don't want to like broad brush all of them, but that's just
I will
growing up in
say
a
that
single mother home is something I've seen a lot
absolutely.
of.
Coddling helps an insult become an insult too, I think. Coddling, the idea
Yeah,
of the mom
I
who's
think so. Either too much coddling and like babying, from a single mother that's too, you know what I mean, not having that balance, or the opposite where they have like a very cold, distant mother. And I've seen like stories from both sides. I've seen men talk about their mothers and being so close to them in a way that's very creepy. And then I've seen the opposite where they're like, I freaking hate my mother. She's such a bitch. And I'm like, what they need is that balance that like, anyway. So I think that that's part of it is like growing up in this home that's not balanced, that doesn't leave them room to both feel valued and also independent. I think is part
I
of it.
heard a term just recently. I'm not proto father. Maybe it's proto father. Like you have your prime father. That would be me for my son right now. I'm the guy that he hates, right? And he really does. He hates me so much. He hates me and I'm stupid. 5-year-olds, I swear to God, 5-year-olds. But anyway, he hates me and I'm stupid. But he is going to eventually meet a man that he wants to be his father. And the guy's going to be a coach or a teacher or something along those lines. And he's going to idolize that guy. And I think that's what really helped me out a lot when I hit my, teenagehood, is that I had football. You know what I mean? I not only had my coaches, but I had the men and boys that are just a little bit older than me and stronger than me that I was constantly going up against and beating myself against, running and sweating and being disgusting with on a daily basis. I think that helps a lot, because if you get stuck in a room playing Nintendo or whatever, you're not going
Mm,
to hear the gory stories of, Steve and Paulina's first date and how it ended so great for him
mm.
or whatever, whatever fantasy that kid concocted.
Yeah, I think
You
that's
know,
definitely the other aspect of it. 'Cause that's another thing I notice a lot of, reading their stories. They're like personal, manifestos they write all over Reddit and all over their forums. They they all seem to have, well, not all, but like a good number of them seem to have this experience of being bullied in high school, or they didn't, have a lot of friends. Some of them even had mostly female friends, which I think a lot of them are a little bit more on the feminine side. So it kind
I
of is
mean,
weird
if
to
you're
say that.
trying to get laid, you talk to girls, and if the girl doesn't want to give you what you want, you get friend zoned, right? Isn't that the
Mhm.
thing? I
Yeah,
think that's
and
what
that's
happens
something they're all like
nowadays.
very bitter about. Well, a lot of them are very bitter about is that they are seen as like, friends and not, they can't make that leap to romantic companion. So
How does your
I don't know.
husband feel about the friend zone? Have you ever talked to him about it?
Yeah, he's helped me out a little bit with the book. Um, doing research and giving me ideas for it and stuff. And he's like generally supportive of it, but he mostly looks at all the incel philosophy like those guys are too much.
I offer that I don't like getting friend zoned, right? I mean, if you're
Mm,
into somebody and you want more than just to be friends, and they say, "Oh, there you go, you get a check mark the friend zone," and they know that you're into them or whatever, it hurts a lot. But what are you going to
mm,
do? I mean, you can't just like go with everybody, but it still hurts.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
It does, yeah. And I
You deal
think
with the
like,
rejection.
yeah, I think feminism has gotten like such a point where like guys can't even talk about that frustration where like, the word friend zone is seen as this like super problematic thing. And it's like, I mean, I think in general, men can't really talk about their
I
feelings
can't
like
talk about
without,
my whole teenage life. I really can't anymore. I really
mm,
can't. I can't mention anything that happened when I was in high school. Nothing. I was whatever. I
mm.
mean, I would get in so much trouble. I don't know how old you are, but like in the 90s, I think things were different.
I'm 32, so I remember the 90s.
Just vaguely, but I was a teenager. I don't know. I honestly think things are different than now. I think things are a little bit more vocal. And, honestly, if, yeah, maybe I can get in trouble for saying this. Maybe this is part that I dilute as well. That I think most men have skeletons in their closets. You know what I mean?
I think most people in general
Most
do. There's,
people do, yeah.
definitely things that I wouldn't talk about. Like everybody messes up and, does things that looking back, they're like, oh, yikes.
I don't know. I mean, that's the problem, right? I mean, now I look at a lot of those times where it was like, oh my God, what did you do? Or
Mm,
come close to doing, or something along those lines. And it's like, does that help you successfully make babies later on in your life? Or
mm,
does that matter? You know what I mean? Do the close calls, or is it all a close call? I mean,
mm.
God, I mean, you can go in for a kiss and end up behind bars very easily. You know what I mean?
That was something that I put in my book Incel. I put a false accusation in my book Incel. And as I was writing it, my husband's like, ooh, you don't want to do this. And I was like, I'm doing it. And I
Wish
called
more
Chat.
people would, because it happens, right? There's a
It
lot of
does happen,
miscommunication.
yeah. Like,
There's
well,
a lot.
that was like kind of the big reason I wanted to write the book Incels because I've been interested in men's issues for a long time. And if you try and talk about them, even as a woman, you think you have a little bit more leeway to kind of delve into that topic. People can't just be like, "Shut up, you cis white male." But no, I don't.
Gay
I
men
don't get.
too get wrapped up into some horrible, horrible shit. I mean,
Yep.
that's like really brands them for the rest of their lives. And this is an interesting, before I forget, because I'm terrible about thinking about something and then it goes away. In fact, I'll just
Hmm.
say it before I forget. They have party lines in the gay community, I think, right? If you know or not, it doesn't matter. Do
I
you know?
don't know.
Oh, I think they have party lines like all over the country. Those party lines. I have no clue how to access them, but I think I know of these things.
Hmm.
And gay men will access these things as very young children, as teenagers, so that
Hmm.
their entire like sexual lives they're on these party lines talking
Hmm.
to other children, I don't know what they're doing, but I
Hmm.
don't know if gay men predatize those lines or predatize or what. But I know guys that get caught and get set
Hmm.
messed up the rest of their lives. And what was my point? What was your point? Now I'm thinking
Well,
that's horrible actually, because they do kind of
yeah.
predatize, right? Yeah, it's awful. That was
I
like
think
the
it's
best
predators
word.
in any community, yeah. But anyway, one of the things I wanted to cover in Incel was like I wanted to just write something about how men are disenfranchised in the world today because I think it's become very like women are the victims and men are the oppressors and humans just don't work that way. Like you've got this gender dichotomy, then both sides are going to have advantages and disadvantages, but it's become so like everything is a victimization against women, and like as a woman it's annoying, and like I don't appreciate feminists turning every little thing into another way I'm oppressed. Like you see articles like air conditioning is sexist and holds women back to work because, and I'm just like, would everybody shut up? Like it's not that bad. And then you've got things like false accusations, believe all women, and all these ways that the family court system, so many ways that men are actually disenfranchised, and we're talking about made up stuff like emotional labor and air conditioning is sexist. And basically I wanted to write the book to troll the feminists, honestly.
Wait a
I was
second.
like,
Did you say air conditioning is sexist?
oh my gosh, that's a real article. I'll find it and I'll send you the link. Yes, so the argument is that offices are kept much colder than women can comfortably work in. So like they had the average
But it's
air
not
conditioning
deliberate,
in an office.
because I love it cold. My wife is the same way. She likes it
Mm.
warm. I used to love it cold. It's not deliberate. Just men like it cold. So what do? You just work
But
separate.
also like women can speak up and be like, it's cold in here. I mean, but it's
And
just
my
this
wife
total
does, and I
victim
tell her,
narrative.
stop. I need the fan on at night. I need the fan on. Please stop. No, I gotta have it. I gotta have the fan.
But then also you think about like what men wear to work. If you're in a professional office, men
Yeah,
are wearing
exactly.
maybe a suit, with a jacket, a shirt, a tie. That's all a lot of like fabric on your torso. And women wear blouses, which are thin, and sometimes skirts. And it's like there's nothing stopping women from wearing a pantsuit to work if you're cold.
And you know what?
I just
If you want to cause problems, be a man and show up in a blouse, and a skirt, and a dress, and heels, and pantyhose. They don't like it in some places.
well, I think in a more liberal city, you'd probably
Still
get
gonna,
away
it's
with
still
that.
gonna, it's still gonna be a second of whoa. Oh, okay, Steve, gotcha, buddy. That's very pretty. It happens, right? I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say anything about that either. But I mean, you can't, right? I mean, it is sexist that you really can't. I can't show up in a dress. That's gonna cause a problem for a second at least. But a woman can show up in a suit, a pantsuit, no problem. Nobody's gonna say anything really. Or a dress.
Yeah, I mean, it is
Whatever.
kind of weird. Like women can cross gender norms so much easier than men can. Like, if I wanted to, I could wear a men's outfit outside. Like, it would be fine.
No
It
problem.
doesn't work the opposite.
You wear your husband's sweatshirt. Nobody's gonna look at you
Yeah,
funny at
I do
all.
that all the time. I put his sweatshirt on. I mean, it's so weird, and I just think like feminism has gotten to this point where it's this total damsel in distress narrative that's actually pretty misogynistic. It isn't helpful to women, and
It's interesting that you
just
say
not fair
that,
to men.
because I kind of say it sometimes too, that there might be a better conversation to be having about sex that could help instead of hurting as badly as it does right now. Because I mean,
Yeah.
we have to be fair to both sides. If we're
Yeah.
constantly saying the men are bad, the men are wrong, the men are horrible, that's 50% of our country going, oh, psychosexually going, fuck.
Yeah.
You know, what is
And
it going to
it's
do?
so
What is it
acceptable
going
to
to do?
do.
How about India? What's it done to India? The psychosexual nature of the Indian male right now. What are they, 1 out of 8 or something bullshitty?
A huge number of incels are actually Indian. I've come across like way more Indian incels.
Well, that's a
than,
population
like,
situation,
yeah.
right? There's no women. China's the same way, I think.
Yep.
I
Because
don't know.
less women are born. It's all a very like interesting issue. I just thought like the whole incel phenomenon was like the perfect kind of microcosm to like analyze the state of men in the world today. And also it was like shocking. So I was like, all right, everybody keeps telling me I can't talk about men's issues. Fuck them. I'm gonna write about the most controversial men I can.
But you know what's interesting? When it opens up again, you already have done the thinking necessary to have formulated, the work. Right now, people are looking at it a little bit more. I mean, they're not being fair, because at every point, I think, in a man's life, he's celibate, right? He can't get laid to save his, he wants to. You start at 13 years old, whenever the hell the first, whatever happens, you're constantly looking for an opportunity, right? You're always on the lookout. As a man, anyway, I was always on the lookout. I mean, that's our job, to be always on the lookout. And I guess, constant disappointments or whatever, you're going to be that person who's angry, and it's not, why am I not being lucky, right? I mean, it happens. It gets stuck in a rut or whatever, like some people do. I don't know. What is my
I think
point
the
again?
other interesting thing about incels that people don't really know, and I definitely didn't know this either until I like really kind of jumped in with both feet and was like, I'm gonna learn about these guys, I'm gonna talk to these guys. It's not really about sex. Like they get kind of crass, like it really is like a locker room kind of environment in some of
Mm,
their forums. But when you dig a little deeper, it's not really about sex. It's about they're lonely. They want human connection. I have read the most heartbreaking posts from incels. I've seen many of them say things like, do you think I could convince myself to be gay? I'm so damn lonely and I think I could get a man.
that's awful. He's probably just
Horrible.
gay. As he's probably just gay. Why would you think that? That's awful. I mean, oh yeah,
It's because they a lot of them don't have the social skills to like know how to interact with women. A lot of them below average height seems to be a big thing in their communities. Men seem to
it's
be between
interesting.
like 5'2", 5'5", and they're shorter than average. So I think that also is a big blow to their confidence. It's such a complicated, like heartbreaking issue, and I don't know, I feel like very strongly about it. I like really want people to like have sympathy for the incels because it's just I don't know, just so many stories of theirs I've read that have made me like so sad. And everybody says these things all over Reddit, like, oh, their standards are too high. I can tell you their standards are definitely not too high. I read so many stories on their subs, like Incels Without Hate is one of their subs I really like, where you'll see guys saying things like, I finally matched with a girl on Tinder.
Oh, it's the
She is
worst place ever
it is.
made.
But they'll,
Oh,
but usually when they finally match with a girl, she's morbidly obese and very heavy, and they're on there going, all right, how can I do this? I'm not attracted to her, but fuck, I am so lonely. How
no,
do
she's
I
not going to be
get
attracted
attracted
to
to
you
her?
either, buddy. You know
I
what
mean,
I mean?
the thing is like their standards are not high. They're like trying to like amp themselves up to like get with women they're not attracted to because they're so lonely. They're so desperate for human connection. There are guys on there going, I pay with cash at the grocery store so that the girl cashier will touch my hand. I wish I had human connection. I never talk to anybody. I never. They really do. They go home. They sit in their room in front of the computer. Again, not all of them. Some of them are professional men with jobs, but a good deal of them don't have any human connection. And it's just heartbreaking. It's really sad. I
It's the
think.
future, I think. I think men in general, men, I think just talk about men.
Mm,
I mean, men are lonely. We don't have friends. We
mm,
don't make friends. And later on in life, we die young and lonely. That's why we're dying younger and younger. We have
mm,
nobody to hang out with. There are no more bowling alleys. There are no fraternal clubs anymore. I mean, there's no places to go where you're fostering lifelong friendships.
mm.
I mean, the incel community is a microcosm of the gender
Yeah,
itself. I mean, we're being villainized. I mean, maybe it's needed to be looked at. You know what I mean?
but
Sometime
yeah, there definitely are some like legitimate
sometimes enough
feminist issues.
crime has happened to where there needs to be a couple of generations where a person serves as a roadblock for their grandfather's mistake. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, the slavery issues in the mid 19th century, they didn't cause
Mm,
any better place for the African American when it ended. Just seemed to
mm,
make things worse for a really long time. And then we thought Jim Crow was the problem, and then Jim Crow stopped, and it wasn't really the problem after all. Just turns out that everybody's racist against African Americans and it's going to make their lives shit. You know what I
mm.
mean? It just fucking sucks. So I mean, when do they get what they're owed for how bad it's been? You know what I
I
mean?
mean,
But at the
yeah, that's
same
definitely a
time, like the gay community, they weren't allowed to marry and they were ostracized and put into the closet or whatnot, and they weren't allowed to be out, and they were the coolest people ever. And the
mm,
African Americans are so fucking cool too, right? They put so much
mm,
culture out into the world. If they weren't, if they weren't persecuted like they are, we would not have what we have in terms of the
mm.
art, the music, the vibrancy, the
I know
attitude,
jazz music,
the
all of it.
jazz. Oh my fucking god, the
Harlem
shit that
Renaissance,
it's
yeah.
so beautiful and heartbreaking, and it's because Jim Crow existed. It's because in 1864 they were freed as slaves and they had the Middle Passage and whatnot.
Mm,
Without all of that shit, we wouldn't have
mm,
what we have. I mean, what you trade with? You know what I
mm,
mean? You leave them in Africa, they do have a culture of their own.
mm.
The farmers in this country, maybe I don't know what the hell they have to dig a little. I don't know why they wanted slaves so badly. There were people here looking for work anyway, right? People were dying of hunger every day, and they needed slaves or something. I don't know. It's
That was
crazy.
a terrible institution, yeah, and it's definitely had this like crazy legacy on our
Legacy
country.
just does not stop. It's like we don't deserve to exist because of it.
Hmm.
When England had slavery, they bought all the slaves and they freed them, right? And they just paid that bond back.
Hmm.
Like 1798 or some crazy year. They said, okay, all slaves are free. And they had to take a bond out for the amount of money they paid. And it was so expensive. It took like 300 years to pay off.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's wild. I mean, it was obviously the right thing to do, but wow.
right. Make that kind of decision. I mean, it's obvious that what we're doing right now is by choice. I heard the Republicans said that they want people to work. That's why they are not helping them more
Hmm.
financially. They don't want people to have a comfy seat. They want them to
Hmm.
be motivated to join the economy and the workforce again. If they have to be hungry for a little while, that's okay.
I think there's a balance to be sure. I mean, I think that
Right?
obviously, I do believe in some
I
social
like you
support.
because you were able to look at that reasonably. I did the same thing. It's like, it's
Yeah.
fair. I'm not a Republican at all, but that's fair. It's like, yeah, I'm lazy. I don't want to get a job. It's because I'm dead. I have a place to live. You know what I mean? I don't have to
Yeah, I do think
struggle in
people
that way.
need some kind of like motivation to like go out and work. But at the same time, with a crisis like this going on right now, you also have to have some kind of social safety net for people.
Things have gotten warped. Things have gotten really warped. I think I don't know how to repair it. Like
Very
economically,
partisan too. It's all very like you're either this side or you're this side. Very
that's,
partisan.
or it seems like it anyway. I just think it's being warped by the media. I have no clue what the truth is anymore, and I'm not the
I
only
think
one.
so too. They misrepresent so many things that happen.
Yeah,
Like
man, they twist it. They twist
they
it.
really
It's
do. Like
fucked up.
the Trump, the lady whose husband drank the fish tank cleaner. The mainstream media completely failed to report that this woman hated Trump and posted many fantasies about killing her husband. That seemed relevant to me.
I didn't
That
hear
seemed
that.
very relevant to me. And then she came out and goes, "Well, Trump told me to." When she has donated
It's
thousands of
not.
dollars to Hillary
It's
Clinton.
it's not relevant to me because it doesn't matter towards the coronavirus. That it's actually a freaking distraction. Don't mention it. You know what I mean? Not you. I'm saying the news media. It's like, why are you mentioning this woman who did something stupid that you don't want anybody else to do with a drug that
Right?
nobody is saying to take? Don't mention the fucking drug. Don't mention it. Leave it alone. Nobody needs to
Yeah.
know the name of it. You don't need to know where to get it. You don't know what it is. It doesn't do anything. So just stay home, cover your face, wash your hands, and don't take that dumb drug or mention that dumb lady. But they do it anyway.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm no huge fan of Donald Trump. I mean, I'm definitely not a Donald Trump stan or anything. He, kind of a clown in some regards, but the media takes any opportunity to just crap all over him for nothing, and it's
does a good
very
job of crapping
frustrating to
all over
watch.
himself. I don't understand his presidency at all. I did want to say at the very, very beginning, okay, let's see what he does. Haha, he gaffed. All right, let's see what he does again. Oh, he fell down again. Shit. So it's been like that the entire time for me, watching this horrible man kind of just blunder through this thing. But I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
I couldn't do what he's done. I would have had a
I
heart
think
attack.
he's incredibly obnoxious, and he says so many things that he shouldn't. But I don't really have any problems with the things he does. It's just the things he says and that I feel like I can live with. He says a lot of stupid things, but
It's fear mongering. The shit the media says. He doesn't say what the media says he says.
I know
They're saying
it's all very
he's
like
gonna,
blown out of proportion.
right? It's like 1984. He's gonna try and stay in office for more than 4 years. He's taking over the country for Putin. He hasn't said any of this shit. It's the news media. They're saying
And
it
like
without
comparing it
proof.
to like Nazi Germany is another like
Nah, my God, that's so horrible. Shut up about Nazi fucking Germany. Nobody's
and
a
people did
Nazi.
the same thing to Obama too. It's like
Oh,
nobody
so
is Hitler
horrible.
except Hitler. Just stop.
You're destroying it. That's all they're doing. They're just ripping it up and burning it and pissing all over it. And it doesn't make any sense to me. It's not Nazi Germany. It's something else. Come on,
Nothing
man.
is Nazi Germany except
Nothing is.
Nazi
It's Nazi
Germany.
Germany. Exactly. My God, I said the same thing. I just don't under fucking stand it. I don't understand it.
It's all hyperbole. It's just trying to make people panic and get upset. And then like I live in like a very liberal place, so I mean I see it all the time. People just take it. They're like, oh my gosh, he's gonna start sending people into concentration camps. Like literally, people take the stuff the news puts out and they believe it.
I live in a very interesting place. I live in a very interesting. It's very blue, obviously Manhattan. It's
Mm.
very blue. Brooklyn, Queens, everything's blue. Staten Island's red. We try to give it to New Jersey. New Jersey doesn't want it. We tried to burn it up and send it into the Atlantic. Can't do that either. Still down there doing whatever it's doing, but whatever. Um, I just think we have like this bootstrap mentality still, though we're so liberal. We don't take shit from anybody, and we have our rules. We're so
Mm.
damn conservative here. Like,
Mm.
I mean, the rules are the rules, but the rules are the rules.
Mm.
There's so much corruption. It doesn't make any sense that we're liberal. So much mafia and violence. I mean, there's so many illegal guns out there right now, and people selling drugs on the radar. That's such a Republican thing, right? The black market.
Mm. No, that's interesting.
I mean, I don't understand why we're blue. I mean, I don't understand why we voted for Hillary. I guess we aren't, though, because we voted for Hillary. I don't know where your stance is on her, but she's a very conservative Democrat, isn't she? She's not a
She seems
progressive.
like it. Yeah, she.
They called her a moderate, which is like back in the day Republican.
Mm. I find it interesting that like her running for president became this very feminist thing, and it was just like it wasn't about her policies or what she believes in. It was just like she's a woman, we've got to vote for her. Like that's like I heard so many people like I'm gonna vote for her because she's a woman. That
That's what I heard.
people say that kind of stuff like it's so empowering and just like that kind of like as a female that kind of thing bothers me so much when people are
She
like
did
we're gonna
win,
lift
though.
this person up because they're a female. It
She
just makes
won.
me feel like
That's what bothers me the most. I mean, regardless of what she did, she wasn't a good candidate. She scared me a little bit
mm,
because she was so fake. Right? She was awful,
yeah,
but I voted for her, and she got the match. She got the vote. She got all the votes needed, except in
yeah,
these stupid little flyover states, and it doesn't make any sense. I hate saying that because it makes me feel stupid. Like so much doesn't make sense anymore.
it
I
really
don't.
doesn't. Yeah, no, I
Oh,
agree.
hold on a second. Obama can't pick a Supreme Court justice in his last year in office. What is that? Bullshit. I don't get it. And then they're going to repeal all of America's, no, that stupid insurance plan that needs to be repealed anyway. I hate that thing. What's it called?
The Affordable Care Act.
Yeah, I just want Medicare for all. And anything short of that's going to upset me, even though it's a good plan. A lot of people have benefited from it, but
Mm.
it still makes me upset, though. It's like not all it could have been. And it's because of the Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
I think. I don't know. Fear mongering. I don't know the truth at all. And I'm probably going to be dead a long time when the real history comes out.
I know, like I feel the same way. I feel like, you watch a bunch of things, you read a bunch of things, you form your opinion, and then you sit there and wonder, is this even like the right opinion? Like I don't even know how much of that information was like slanted or misrepresented. Like I based my opinion based on these things I watched and read, but what if it's all nonsense?
That's got to be why you write speculative fiction, right? I mean, you just don't know.
Mm,
Could go any way. Nobody knows anything. Neil
yep.
deGrasse Tyson is not reading every fucking short story. So just go ahead and guess on the science. Make it sound kind of okay, and you'll probably get it.
Yeah, I did that in my time travel fantasy. Like I started out trying to be very like with the time travel stuff, very like scientific. And then I was like, screw it. There are no astrophysicists reading this. Time storms. A storm happens and people time travel.
Mm.
That's it.
And George picks up his screwdriver. And the next thing he knows, he's invented the time machine. And with the press of a button, he's off. There you go. He's traveling.
But I mean, some of the best speculative is kind of like that, kind of a
Right?
this and this
Skip
because
it.
reasons.
Skip
I
it.
think it's like
Doesn't
there's this
matter. Get
Edgar
on with
Rice
it.
Burroughs book where he just like looks up at a star and then is like transported, and he never explains why
Yeah. What
why
is
that
it?
happens.
What's his face? The guy, the Johnny Reb guy, Broom. What was that called? Disney made a movie. John Carter Goes to Mars. That's what he does,
Hmm.
right?
Oh,
Just
I don't
kind of,
know that movie.
and time stops on Earth. Johnny was a horrible movie. Nobody liked it. The book
I guess I didn't miss
classic
much.
though, because he wrote those. He wrote John Carter and he wrote Tarzan. It was
Hmm.
either or for that author. Um, yeah, speculative fiction. Just make it up, and you could just guess. And C.S. Lewis wasn't going for like technical reality. It was just
Hmm.
writing however he felt he thought Catholic Church should be. I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's more fun sometimes to just like make things up. And I definitely don't hate on like, the hard sci-fi writers that want to get all the science right. That can be interesting too. But I also think sometimes this happened because reasons. You don't need to know the reasons. Like, I think that's fine too.
I will say though, I do love it when an author tries to get very technical if he can write. Like
Mm.
Neil Stevenson, if you're familiar with him,
No.
he is a magnificent author. He wrote a book called Seven Eves, which is just magnificent, just about the moon cracks in half. That's like the opening sentence of this novel. And then the rest, this 900 pages that follows, is basically him getting humanity to survive. The moon pieces are beginning to fall in through the atmosphere and start to hit the earth. That doesn't sound like much, except every single time a piece hits the atmosphere, it heats the atmosphere up. So there's like millions and billions of streaks and blah, blah, blah. And the story is just really fantastically science rich all the way through. And you think you'd be
That sounds like a
completely bored.
really good hard sci-fi. I would read that.
Yeah, I
That
would
sounds good.
totally recommend reading that. I'm reading right now. He's got a new one out called Fall
Hmm.
or Dodge in Hell. It's about putting the human consciousness in a computer simulation. And the first half of the book is basically setting up the simulation, and then the original character's already there, inhabiting it as God. And now
Hmm.
the super powered beings who had been kind of moderating it from afar are now entering the game. They've died in real life and they've been put in, but they've also obviously put little rules around their own consciousness and are super powered, or something along those lines. It's a really fantastic read. It's
That
taking me
sounds
forever
really
to get
interesting.
through
It
it,
sounds like it would raise like a lot of interesting questions about consciousness and
right?
being and what it
And
is.
you can't write like this and not be a genius. I just think this guy's writing on a different level completely.
Hmm.
What are you reading? Anything good?
Right now, I'm trying to make it through the Wheel of Time series. Have you ever
Oh,
read that
good.
one?
I've read the first 4 books or so, and I can't remember them. So yeah.
Yeah, I decided I was gonna tackle. Well, my goal was to tackle the whole 14-book series this
Mhm.
year, but now it's like summer and I'm on book 2, so yeah,
Oh,
that's
that's not
not
very
gonna
good.
happen. No, I think I'll probably read like half the series this year if I'm
I
lucky. So
it's
yeah,
candy though. So I mean, honestly, if you start getting into one of the books, you could be done in a couple days with them. You could actually finish the thing in a month if you got into it. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
I've read
Like,
people on the Wheel of Time subreddit saying they've done that, read the whole 14 books like in a in a month, and I'm like, that
God,
I can't do. Like I don't know. Like for me, I like them. I really liked the first one. I think more than the second one. The first one took me 2 months to finish. The second one I've been on for about 3 months now. So it's I don't know. Like I like it, but also it's kind of a slog at some parts. I
yeah,
think I'm
that's
not
how I
used to
felt.
reading such heavy world building.
It
I
was
think
very
that's what it
boring.
is.
Maybe I read the first one and bought the second and third one and never even made it to the second one. So I was so
Hmm.
happy I finished the first one because it was so hard to get into. It's like,
Hmm.
oh, maybe I'll be a Wheel of Time guy. No, I
I know, like
can't
the
be.
whole community is so cool. That's
I
like
know.
the whole reason I want to read is like I want to be a Wheel of
I
Time
want
guy. I
to be
want to
a
go to
Wheel of
Jordan
Time
Con.
guy.
I want to like I started watching Daniel Green's fantasy channel on YouTube, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, like he loves Wheel of Time so much. And then I started going on the Wheel of Time subreddit, and I'm like, I want to be part of this. That's really what it is. I want to be part of this community, but
Maybe
it's
there's a maybe
it's
there's a
not grabbing
point.
me.
Maybe there's a point where you just get too much education in literature and whatnot, and you just can't do it. Like, I know what you're doing. I see the nuts and bolts working. You could have done better. You're doing everything wrong. This makes me mad. And you're successful. God damn it. Why did I go to school? Look stupid.
See, I don't think I have that problem because I read a lot of garbage too. I read like a lot of romance that's very bad, and I put so much book junk food in my head that I think I can just turn my brain off sometimes and read.
I need to rededicate myself. I'm so disappointed in the amount of reading that I've been doing lately. I read the last book I read was a Christopher Columbus rewrite history book. It was really good. I really enjoyed it, but I've been having such a hard time not picking up something that's good because I've got like 5 things open I really want to read. It's like
Hmm.
stopping YouTube from playing and
I've been
whatnot.
really into YouTube during this
Yeah,
quarantine too.
man.
Like, I mean, I'm not quarantined 7 days a week. Like my full-time job, I'm working from home, but then I have a part-time job I get to go out and do. So like I am outside the house like 3 days a week, but still I'm like home like way more than usual. So I'm always on YouTube and keeping up with so much like not even like educational. Like I'm watching like straight up YouTube garbage, like YouTube drama and commentary channels. I'm just like so into right now. So I think sometimes you get kind of into that like put junk food in your brain kind of,
I love the stuff
phase.
that gives me a glimpse into a world that I'll never see. You know, I'm
Hmm.
so lazy. I don't want to do anything. I think I've traveled enough. I mean, I like the idea of traveling. I like going. I would love to go to Tokyo and eat ramen. Just
Hmm.
do these food adventures or whatever. I love to have these culinary trips. But I love watching those YouTube channels that show you that stuff, so you don't have to actually go. Oh,
Hmm.
thank you. Like the sailors or whatever. This is best. I love it.
Yeah, that is interesting. I've never been anywhere. One day I'm going to travel. I've never left the United States, though, even once. But one day I will.
Well, as far as what I know about you, you're from the place where you don't have to be anywhere else. You never have to
Yeah.
go anywhere else from where you're from.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
it's a pretty
You know
interesting
what I
place.
mean.
Yeah.
So where are you at in terms of? I'm sure we're over an hour. I think we're about an hour and 24 minutes at this point, and it's been in
If
so.
you decide to edit this down for anything, like I won't be offended because I know we've gone on for a while. So if you decide to chop portions out, it's fine.
I'm just going to aim for that one little portion that you said not to put in there, where you
Okay.
yelled at me and said, "Don't ever ask me where I'm from."
I didn't yell at you. I'm paranoid. That's
How
all.
dare you? Personal questions are not allowed. No, I will delete that little section out. Hopefully, I will. I'll do it right when we get off. I've been so good with these
Hmm.
podcasts this time. I think it's the quarantine. I
Hmm.
talk to you guys and then I'm done talking and I edit a little bit that I edit and I post it all. And it's like 15 minutes later, I'm done. Before I
Hmm.
was procrastinating. I had like 50 podcasts just waiting to be put online.
Hmm.
So daunting.
Well, see, now
So
you're like an expert at a 200 something podcast. That's wild. That's so many.
I struggled. When I talked to you, I had no clue what I was doing.
Hmm.
I had no clue what I was doing. I was like, okay, no dead air. No dead air. Driver, no dead air. And I
Hmm.
was so sick. I felt so bad. It was such a horrible conversation.
I
It was
didn't think it was. I thought that you do a good job of like projecting confidence, like you know what you're doing.
well, I just assume that everybody hates talking to me, so there's nothing I can do. So I just
So
I just barrel ahead.
they're gonna hate this anyway. I'll just keep going.
Yeah, just keep going. Screw it. What are you gonna do? Can't start over now. Um, what do you want people to know going forward about your situation, what you have coming up, where they can find you?
All right. So people can find me on Wattpad. I am Jyvur Entropy. That's Jyvur Entropy. I've got my book Combustion is self-published on Amazon. All my works in progress though are available for free on Wattpad. Combustion's going into the Kindle Select program or Kindle Unlimited, whatever it's called, on July 31st. So you'll be able to read it for free on Kindle if you have that program. I'm also on, I have a blog, Jyvur Entropy. Just Google me, my blog comes right up. And that's where I ramble about incels and femcells and all kinds of other random things. And that's also where I'm posting my book Incel on my blog because Wattpad sent me a message and told me that it was offensive and then they deleted it. Yeah, that's basically it. I'm on Wattpad and I have a blog and yeah, I love to interact with readers and please read my stuff. And if any incels listen to this, please come talk to me and tell me your experience. As always, I always want more information.